Crypto has been having a really interesting day. I mean, a bit earlier today, the inflation numbers came out, as I already warned you guys about yesterday. And pretty instantly after it did, since the inflation numbers were lower than expected, again, the previous number for the yearly inflation was 3%, with the expected value being it remaining at 3%. But since it turned out to be 2.9%, so again, the inflation turns out to be lower than was anticipated, the Bitcoin price fell pretty quickly. This article itself states the decline in Bitcoin's price was triggered by insufficient trading volume at these high levels. And just refreshing it here, you can see that just now when I was checking it, Bitcoin's price was like 61 and a bit thousand. And right now, a little refresh, bam, it's at 58.8. And a lot of altcoins also have fallen in its wake. But I'd say that right now, the market, for the most part, is just going sideways. Oh, yes, we're at 58,000 and then we're at 61, 58, but that again is sideways because we're not making any clear break towards either side. Having said that, the news never stops though. One of the most interesting pieces of news for today, and I think actually in a long time in terms of crypto partnerships, was Crypto.com becoming the first crypto platform to partner with the UEFA Champions League. I will quickly remind you though that the last time we had a crazy crypto partnership with a stadium, you know, it was FTX. So from that perspective, maybe be a little bit cautious. But anyway, a couple important things to discuss. First of all, a lot of people are afraid of the dump right now. But let me tell you, the end of the year, and that not necessarily being end of the year 2024, I'm talking about the end of the next 12 months. So over the next 12 months, let's call it, I still do believe we are set for at least a $200,000 Bitcoin. Plan B following his model. He even expects an $800,000 Bitcoin next year. And by the end of this year, $150,000. And obviously, I cannot guarantee any of that for you, but just basing it on how Bitcoin previously performed, it really would not be too crazy. Just because right now, the price has not really gone down in an outlier form. It's just, you know, as the bull market should progress. And even if we were to go down even further, like for example, to 36,000, right? If we look back at the Corona crash, for example, right there, or this little move back in 2015, I mean, yeah, some outliers do happen. It doesn't necessarily break the model. It doesn't necessarily break our expectations of still a multiple $100,000 Bitcoin somewhere over the next 12 months. And that brings up a really important point. We can be afraid of inflation, on the opposite end, embrace it. And a very difficult part is, like I said in my previous video, how a recession would hit us in the crypto market. On the one hand, it'd be very positive because, like Larry Fink himself, who is the CEO of BlackRock, the biggest asset management firm in the world, he himself said that people are buying this as kind of like a counter to currencies and their traditional investments. On an opposite side, Bitcoin has a very high correlation with the stock market. So if it does bad, you know, the stock market, because of recession, crypto could do bad. I would like to say that regardless of my sentiment on how things should go and how things should be, I kind of try to follow the money. Ansem had a really good post, and the price is down. What is he referring to? Well, he's referring to Macroscope, whom posted, in a 13F filing today, Morgan Stanley reported owning 5.5 million shares of the iShares Bitcoin Trust as of June 30th, valued at $190 million as of that date, so already a while back. The filing notes, investment discretion, that all 5.5 million shares are allocated to Morgan Stanley Investment Management, Inc. This is a new position. It makes Morgan Stanley a top 5 holder of the IBIT fund as of today. Goldman Sachs' disclosure yesterday, see below, also makes it a top 5 holder. And again, that's because Goldman also just came out with a 13F filing all of a sudden saying, hey, we actually have got hundreds of millions of dollars in all these different Bitcoin funds. They've got literally hundreds of millions of dollars in it. And on the one hand, I'll agree with some of the comments saying a couple $100 million on $1.3 trillion worth of asset managed is nothing, but things start slow. It's a completely new asset class that's been around for like a decade. The fact they're committing hundreds of millions of dollars, in my opinion, proves that some people like to be first, some people like to try it out, and the rest, whom is slower, will most likely follow. So, in that end, I'd say just give it a little bit of time. Anyway, there's another interesting part, and that is that MetaMask just announced something. I'm a very big fan of MetaMask. I am 100% against this announcement, but apparently MetaMask just launched a debit card in partnership with MasterCard. Somebody says, wow, this is really good. The problem is, or well, the problem depends on how they go about this. Because on the one hand, we're closing the gap between crypto and TradFi. On the opposite side, there's going to be a lot of issues at the start, which is a little bit scary. But more importantly, I kind of feel as if right now crypto, and this is a very personal thing, right? Let me rephrase it by saying MetaMask launching some sort of card, if they do it in a good way, is one of the best ways for crypto to get some mainstream adoption, because now all of a sudden people can really easily spend all their crypto that's not exchange mandatory and exchange connection mandatory. Because even though that's easier for people to do, MetaMask is a lot more crypto, like a step up. To understand how an exchange works is one step. To understand how a decentralized wallet works is like 5 extra steps. Anyway, the reason I'm kind of against it personally is because I feel like with Ledger also, if you've got money stashed on your little device or on your MetaMask, people tend to spend it less quickly. It's like an investment account. It's like a savings account. So the way I see it as well, if you've got your bank, you've got a checkings and a savings account for the most part. The reason they're separated, and for the most part not in one, is because if you put them to your savings, you're less likely to take them right back out. Some people have different systems, but that's the general rule of thumb, that the bank can just use that money to play around with and invest with, and whatever's in your checking account, they're slightly more careful with, even though they're still, rent it out, or I should say invest it, because theoretically speaking, the bank system is completely messed up. It's a really dark area to get into. First, I should also say that they're going to play a lot of games with this, by the way. A lot of crazy stuff's going to happen here. But I do believe that if this were to become a really main thing, that a lot of people would spend their crypto more quickly rather than properly investing it. The way I see it, for example, let's say I had $100 left in an altcoin. It depends on how they go about all these things, right? I don't know. I didn't fully check the details out yet because it's going to take some time. But let's say you got like let's say $30 left in your crypto wallet, some crazy altcoin. Instead of you being like, you know what, it's like $30. I'm gonna see if it goes to 1,000. I'm gonna see if it goes to like 10,000 over the next few months, because sometimes it happens. Now you'd be like, you know what? Let me buy a burger today. Let me order some cool food today. I got $30 left. Let me order some. You see where I'm going with that? So a lot of opportunities I think will be dropped from it, because people will see the money in their crypto accounts and think of spending it rather than thinking of it as an investment account. On the opposite side, I'm thinking this, again, call me a pessimist, but for MetaMask, this is a very strange move because they're so data intensive in terms of the fact that crypto people are really kind of secretive with which wallets they own and connecting that to their identity. And now all of a sudden on the opposite side, we've got MetaMask literally sharing all your details with MasterCard. Obviously you've got to opt into it, I think. But then again, these are not real issues. The only issue I actually found is how would this work? Let's say we've got a MetaMask, right? And you've got the card for it. How exactly will it work that you have to verify or confirm? Are they going to also launch another specific button on the card? Or will it only be able to use it online and not in an Apple Pay form? Or will the whole overview of MetaMask change to facilitate this card with no verification methods? Just you have the card, you can go. Or more like, I guess, a traditional credit card, I should say debit card, where you just put some money on there. All the verifications are now gone because it's now centralized. Because how can this be decentralized, but you need no approvals to get things done anymore? It's all automatic. Kind of sketchy, but there's a lot of ways to make this work. I'm just saying it's a really interesting thing if you start thinking about it. The fact that the crypto world and the TradFi world are coming closer and closer together. The banks we all try to stay away from, getting back to us in some way, shape, or form. You can never truly stay away from the banks, huh? A few additional interesting pieces was that pump.fun. I made a tutorial about it a while back as to how to trade meme coins, right? It's like a meme coin launcher. It's a big scam fest, to be honest. But apparently their 24-hour revenue is higher than like every other thing combined. So they, over the last 24 hours, made $5 million. And all the other ones, they're making peanuts in terms of profit in comparison to how much pump.fun is making. It's insanity. And also, a little bit earlier, about 14 hours ago, apparently Jump Trading started selling a ton of Ethereum again. So some people were worried about it. I'm personally not as much. I think by now we've proven that it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And I refer back to the comments I made earlier in the video of stating, regardless of all the fear and all the questions you've got right now, think about it in a 12-month picture. If you really do not believe that over the next 12 months, crypto will see higher prices than we see today, short it with everything you've got. Not financial advice, just my thoughts. But I don't see any way where it doesn't happen. And that's also what I'm doing in terms of investing. Investing, like over the next 12 months, things are going to get crazy because that's honestly what I believe. But yeah, that's a little bit of what's going on today. Pretty crazy day. pretty speculatory, nothing too breaking. Tomorrow, let's talk a little bit more about XRP because there's a lot of comments about it. We've got a little bone to pick with this, so see you tomorrow.